Hello students, how are you? Please take care of your health. Kindly follow the government instructions and the doctor's advice because you are the pillar of our country, future pillar of our country. Today, we are going to see the plus 2 commerce chapter 8. The name of the chapter is called Securities Exchange of India. Shortly, it is called as SEBI. Okay. What is SEBI? The SEBI, the Security and Exchange Board of India, was first established in the year 1988 as a non-statutory body for regulating the securities market. It was made as an autonomous body by the Government of India on 12th May 1992 and gives a statutory power in 92 with the SEBI Act 1992 being passed in the Indian Parliament. The SEBI has a headquarters as the business district of Bandara Kurla complex in Mumbai, as northern, eastern, southern and western regional offices in New Delhi, Kolkata, Chennai and Ahmedabad respectively. And initially, the SEBI was a non-statutory body without any statutory power. However, the 92, the SEBI was given an additional statutory power by the Government of India through an amendment to the Securities Exchange Board of India Act 1992. The SEBI is managed by its members, which consist of the directors, additional directors and deputy director and the section officers and technical assistant and deputy directors, etc. Normally, the head of the SEBI is a director. So, under the director, there is 3 additional directors in the various departments. One is the additional director for the joint directors, one more additional director for the administration and the one more director in the technical area, that is called the technical director. Okay. The Securities and Exchange Board of India is an apex body that maintain and regulate our capital market in our country. It was established in the 1988 by the Indian government but got the statutory power in 1992. This is a very important one for the 1 mark area. Well, it play a great role in the economical development of our country, such as monitoring the working of the mutual fund, restrict the illegal practices of the firms and play a great role in protecting the investors' interest, regulate the working of the stock exchanges, conducting the auditing, inspections, etc. and prohibit insider trading activities. What is the objectives of SEBI? Normally there are 4 important objectives of SEBI. One is regulation of the stock exchange, protecting to the investors, checking the insiders trading and control over the brokers. Let us discuss one by one. Okay children. Number 1, regulate the stock exchange. Okay, the first objective of SEBI is to regulate the stock exchanges so the efficient services may be provided to all the parties operating in the stock exchange. And second one, protection to the investors. The capital market is meaningless in the absence of the investors. Therefore, it is important to protect the interest of the investors. The protection means what? It is protecting them from the wrong information given by the companies in their prospectus and reducing the risk of delivery and payment, etc. So, hence the foremost objective of the SEBI is to provide the securities to the investors. And next, checking the insiders trading. The insider trading means the buying and selling of the securities by the directors, promoters, etc. who have access to some confidential information about the company and who wish to take advantage of this confidential information. This affects the interest of the general investors and it's essential to check the tendency of the recent time. And many steps have been taken to check the insiders trading through the medium of SEBI. So this is to protect the investors, that is checking the insiders trading in the SEBI. And next is control over the brokers. It is a very important one to supervise and checking the regular activity of the brokers and other middlemen in order to control the capital market. To regulate their activity, it was necessary to establish the SEBI. So this is one of the important objectives of the SEBI. Okay, we'll move on to the next topic. What's the functions of SEBI? The Securities Exchange Board of India is a nodal agency which safeguards the interest of an investor and the Indian financial market. SEBI performs three key functions. One is quasi-legislative and quasi-judicial and quasi-executive. It drafts the regulations, conducting the investigation and enforcement action, and it passes ruling and orders. Okay, what's the main point? The first point is the one of the function, the safeguarding the interest of investors by means of adequate educations and the guidance to the investors. The SEBI make a rule and regulating that must be followed by the financial intermediaries like portfolio exchange, underwriters and the merchant bankers. It takes care of the complaints received from the various investors, and additionally it issues the notice and the booklets for the information, assistance and the protections of the small investors. And second one, in the regulating and controlling the business of the stock market, the registration of the brokers and sub-brokers is made mandatory, and they have to abide by certain regulations and rules. And conducting the regular inspection and enquiries of the stock exchange, and control the intermediary and the self-regulating organizations, and to take the appropriate measures whenever required. This function is carried out for the organization of working of the stock exchange and the intermediaries. So this is one of the functions of the stock exchange. And next is prohibiting the insiders trading in the securities, and prohibiting the deceptive and unfair method used by the financial intermediaries operating in the various securities market, and registering and controlling the functions of the stockbroker. This is one of the main functions. Sub-broker, the share transfer agents, banker, trustee, registrar, merchant banker, underwriters, portfolio managers and the investment advisors, and the various other intermediary who might be linked to the securities market in any manner. The SEBI issue a guideline and the instructions to the business concerning capital issues. Separate guidelines for providing the initial public issue made by the listed companies. And every time it conducts the research and publishing the informations are beneficial to all the market players like buyers and sellers. And SEBI regulate the mergers and the acquisition as a way to protect the interest of investors. For this, the SEBI has realized appropriate guidelines with the intention that such mergers and takeover would not be at the expenses of the small investor, and promoting the self-regulatory organization in the various intermediaries. It has been extensive of legal powers. I said that the self-regulation is preferable to the external regulations, and the SEBI is to motivate the financial intermediaries to create their professionals association and manage the harmful actions. And it can also make use of its power when the needed for protection of investors, and carrying out the steps in order to developing the capital market by having a a accommodations approach, and this is the various functions of SEBI. And next is a living fee or any other type of the charges to carry out the purpose of the act and performing the action that may be assigned to it by the central government of India. So these are all the important functions of SEBI. Next we will move on to the what's the power of SEBI. Power means adhikaram. What's the power? It is a tremendous powers of SEBI. Number one, the powers relating to the stock exchange and intermediary, and power to impose a monitoring system and monetary penalty, and power to initiate the action in the functions assigned by SEBI, and power to regulate the insider trading, power to under Securities Contract Act, and power to regulate the businesses of stock exchanges. Now, let us discuss one by one. The powers relating to the stock exchange means is what? The SEBI has a wider power regarding the stock exchange and the intermediaries dealing the securities. It can ask the information from the stock exchanges and the intermediary people regarding the what's the business transaction and for inspection and scrutiny of other purposes. So they have to get all the informations. It has a lot of power. And power to impose the monitoring penalty. SEBI has been empowered to impose the monetary penalty with the capital market and the intermediaries and any other participants for the range of any violations of the rules. It can even impose a suspension of the registration for a short period. Then, and the power to initiate the action in the functions assigned. The SEBI has a power to initiate action in regarding the functions of the assigned. For an example, it can issue the guidelines to different, that is various type of intermediary, or introducing the specific rule for the protection of interest of investors. And next, the power to regulate the insiders trading. The SEBI has a power to regulate the insider trading, or it can regulate the functions of the merchant banker. And the next one, last one, is the powers of under Securities Contract Act. For effective regulations of the stock exchange, the Ministry of the Finance issued a notification on the 13th September 1994 and delegate the several powers of the SEBI of Act of the SEBI. And SEBI is also empowered by the Financial Ministry to nominate the 3 members on the governing body of every stock exchange. So these are all the various powers of SEBI. And the power to regulate the businesses of stock exchange. The SEBI is also empowered to regulate the business of stock exchange intermediaries who are associated with the security market as well as the mutual funds. Any fraudulent and unfair trade practice and relating to securities and the regulations of the acquisition of the shares and takeover of the companies. Next is move on to the dematerialization. Simply it is called demat. Dear children, when you dealing any buying and selling of the shares, there is a 3 account is needed. One is a bank account, and second is a trading account, and third one is a demat account. Now, what is the meaning of dematerialization? The dematerialization is a process by which the physical share, the certificate of an investor, are taken back by the companies or registered and destroyed. It may be happened. So, they an equivalent number of the securities in the electronic form are credited to the investor's account with his DP, that is called depository participant. The dematerialization is done at the request of the investor. The investor first have to open an account with a DP and then request for a dematerialization of the certificates through the depository participant. And the purchase made by an investor are credited to his account and sale as debited. The securities held in the dematerialization form are fungible. In other words, they do not have any distinguishing features. The dematerialization shares do not have any distinctive number. All the holding of the particular security will be identical and interchangeable. The trading in the dematerialization shares commenced on National Stock Exchange in December 1996. This is a very important one. This is also a 1 mark section. Okay, it commenced on NSE in December 96, where the Reliance Industry was the first company to trade in demat form nearly 100 shares. In case of the BSE Bombay Stock Exchange, dematerialization of the shares commenced in the year December 97. Okay, there is a 1 mark in this paragraph in this area. One is the dematerialization was commenced in NSE in December 96. In which company first time to issue the demat form? The Reliance company. It is 100 shares for the dematerialization. And the Bombay Stock Exchange commenced this demat in the year December 97. Okay, what is the benefits of dematerialization? The risky pertaining to physical certificates like loss, theft and forgery and any damage are eliminated completely with a demat account. There are lack of paperless work and enable quick transaction and higher efficiency in trading. The trading has become more convenient as one can trade through computer at any location without the need of any visiting a broker. So this is one of the benefits. And the shares that are created through the mergers and consolidations of the companies are credited automatically in the demat account, as all the transactions occur through the depository participant. A trader does not have to communicate individually with each and every company, and there is no need for stamp duty. What a great thing! You need not pay any stamp duty for transfer of shares, and this brings down the cost of the transactions in significantly manner. And the certain banks also permit the holding of both equity and debt securities in a single account. Already I told you. The bank also provide the dedicated and trained customer and care officers to assist through all the procedures in the stock exchange. A demat account holder can buy or sell any amount of shares. However, there is a limit on the number of transactions done using the physical security. One can also choose to take a loan against a security which are held in a demat account by offering it as a collateral security, a collateral to the lender. And what is demat account? So far we have discussed what is a dematerialization. Now what is mean by demat account? A demat account holds all the shares that are purchased in electronic or dematerialized form. Basically, a demat account is to share what a bank account is to money. Like the bank account, a demat account holds the certificates of the financial instrument like shares, bond, government security, mutual fund and any other exchange traded funds in the electronical fund transfer. And how to open your demat account? You want to know, okay sir, I want to buy and sell your shares. You tell me what is the procedure, how to open a demat account, where I should go. Simply students, first fill up the accounting opening form. If you want to open a bank account, you go to the bank and get the application form for opening a new account. You fill up all the information provided in the application and given to the officer. He immediately open a bank account. The same way, if you want to opening a demat account, first you should fill up the opening form and submit along the copies required documents given by, suggested by the bank. But the one is the passport size photo, and you can also have a PAN card also, and carrying all the original documents at the time of verification. And second, you will be provided with a copy of the rules and regulations of the SEBI, the terms of the agreement and the charges that will incur. And during this process, in a person, a verification would be carried out. A member of the depository participant, that staff would contact you to check the details provided by you at the time of account opening form. And once the application is processed, the DP will provide you with an account number, or otherwise it is called a client ID. You can use the details to access your demat account through the online. Then as you are a demat account holder, you need to pay some fees, like the annual maintenance charge for the maintenance of the accounts and the transaction fee levied for and debiting the securities to from the account on a monthly basis. The fees is different from the service provider. While some DPs charge a flat fee per transaction, the other people, the fees is transaction value according to the weightage of the value and are subject to the minimum amount. So the fees is differ based on the kinds of transaction like buying and selling. In addition, some other fees are charged, that is for converting the shares from the physical to the electronical form or vice versa. So this is the various formalities, the various steps to open a demat account. And the minimum shares in a bank account, you have a minimum balance, some like 500 rupees or 1000 rupees. But in a demat account, you can open a demat account with no balance of shares. It also does not require that a minimum balance not to be maintained. So this is one of the best feature. And you need to submit the proof of identity and the address along with your passport size photograph and accounting opening form. Only the photocopies of the documents are required for your submission, but the originals are also required. You keep it with you. They required only at the time of verification. You should provide your original form. After verifying all the details, they immediately hand over to you the original documents. Like, okay, what are the proof of identity? They needed two proof. One is for your address proof, the other one is called your ID proof. Okay, what are the documents for the ID proof? Like PAN card, voter's ID, driving license, passport, bank attested copy, IT return file, EB bill, telephone bill, ID card with a school ID or any college's ID, or if you are a government service, the government gave you a separate ID for you. This is also a ID proof. And passport of the financial institutions or any other colleges, affiliated universities, photographs. So, and the ID card for ICAI, ICWAI, ICSI, etc., or any bar council. So, the bar council ID, it is used for your proof of your identity. And the last is what is a PAN card? Everybody is know what's a PAN. So a PAN means it is a permanent account number, is a unique 10-digit alphanumerical identity allotted to each taxpayer by the income tax department, because the PAN card given by the IT department under supervision of the Central Board of the Direct Tax. It also serves as a identity proof for you. This is the meaning of the PAN card. Okay, dears, the lesson comes to an end. So just we recall what are the points to be discussed. So far we discussed in this chapter. One is what's the meaning and what is the origin of the SEBI, what is the object, what is its function, and what is the powers of the SEBI, what is meant by demetabolization, and what are the benefits of demetabolization, what is mean by demat account, and how to open a demat account. Is a very interesting area, interesting chapter also. If you know well about the share trading, you can easily buying and selling the shares through the stock exchanges. Okay students, now let us discuss one or two 1 mark questions, how you should understanding this chapter. Shall we start by one? Okay, the first question is, the Securities Exchange Board of India was established in the year. There are 4 options: 1988, 92, 1995 and 1998. Come on, tell me which one is the right answer. Yes, you are right. The option B, 1992. Next is, what is the headquarters of SEBI? Calcutta, Bombay, Chennai, Delhi. Which one? Yes, you are right. The headquarters of SEBI is Bombay. Next one. In which year the SEBI was constituted as the regulator of the capital market in India? Option A, 1988. Option B, 1992. Option B, 2014. And option D, 2013. The right answer is 1988. Next one. The registering and controlling the functions of the collective investment scheme as mutual fund, listing, remetallization, and option D, demetallization. Come on children, just to think which is the right answer. Yes, the answer is mutual fund. Next, the SEBI is empowered by the Finance Ministry to nominate the DAS members on the governing body of every stock exchange. Okay, how many members? Just to think what I taught you. Is 5, 3 or 6 or 7? Yes, you are right. The answer is 3. Okay dears, the lesson comes to an end. So study well. Once again I tell you, please take care of your health. Please kindly follow given by the government instructions and the doctor's advice. See you dears. Again we will see you in the next class. Thank you.